On Palm Sunday, many Christians celebrate what has traditionally been called Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem a few days before his death. But it may be more accurate to call it an ironic entry, or a protest entry, rather than a triumphal one. In keeping with his understanding of the kingdom or reign of God, Jesus came into Jerusalem in a manner that defied almost everyone's expectations. It may be helpful to think about the entry in terms of a prophetic action or an example of first century street theater. Just as Hebrew prophets like Jeremiah, Hosea, or Ezekiel often acted out their prophetic utterances, Jesus chose a visual means to demonstrate his point. He rode into the holy city on the back of a young donkey. What exactly was the point Jesus was trying to make? Scholars and experts differ on the answer to this question, but one plausible interpretation is that he was lampooning both the notion that the Messiah was to be a warrior king in the mold of David and the pretensions of the Roman administration of Jerusalem. Consistently nonviolent in his approach, Jesus rejected the temptation to wield power in a worldly manner. By entering town the way he did, he thumbed his nose at those who called on him to become the violent figure they imagined the Messiah must be. It's not that Jesus rejected the notion of kingship out of hand, but he sought to redefine what it meant to be a king, just as he had redefined for his disciples what it meant to be great. For his interpretation, he chose a passage from the prophet Zechariah, which celebrates a king who comes in peace. Lo, your king comes to you, triumphant and victorious is he, humble and riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey. It was a tradition for kings of Israel and Judah to arrive for their coronations not on a war horse, but on a humble donkey, as an indication that they had indeed come in peace. Likewise, Jesus came to Jerusalem in a peaceful manner. At the same time, he came in defiance of the Roman occupiers. The procurator or governor of Judea, Pontius Pilate, would have been arriving in Jerusalem from the northwest, from his headquarters in Caesarea, at about the same time Jesus was coming in from the Mount of Olives on the east. In fact, it's probable that Jesus timed his demonstration so the two processions would coincide. Pilate was coming to assert Roman power and discourage any rebellions or riots during Passover, the festival that celebrated the Hebrews' liberation from their bondage in Egypt. As a result, one can easily imagine that Pilate's retinue was very different from Jesus's. He would have come in on a war horse with banners flying, accompanied by at least a cohort of elite troops. They would have marched into the city and passed through the streets until they arrived at the Antonia fortress overlooking the temple. Everything about his entry would have been calculated to inspire fear in the hearts of anybody who had notions of causing trouble. If Jesus did indeed plan and carry out his demonstration to lampoon Pilate's show of force, he could hardly have chosen a more effective way to do it. One thing that people who wield power the way Pilate did cannot stand is mockery. Anyone with the courage to say that the emperor, or in this case the governor, had no clothes, would be sure to gain his attention and earn his ire. Someone undoubtedly would have reported this other demonstration to Pilate before the day was out, and it's almost certain that he would not have been happy about it. Jesus came to be the king of an upside-down kingdom, a kingdom where the last were first and the first last, where servants ruled, where the blessed ones were the poor, the hungry, the meek, and the persecuted. He came to demonstrate a new way of wielding power that to the world looked very much like weakness. By Friday afternoon, it would have been difficult for the people to remember their elation as they waved their palm fronds the previous Sunday and joyfully shouted, "Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord." But Jesus truly had come in God's name, for anyone who had the eyes to see it. And by the following Sunday, it would be just as hard to remember the despair and fear of Friday, because the King was alive again, and everything had changed. Hosanna! Blessed is the one who comes in the name of our non-violent God into God's upside-down kingdom. Hosanna in the highest.